Alright guys, so in this video we're checking out the 7-inch frame build. This is called the Frank 7. This was actually sent to me by a Patreon who, interestingly enough, if you want a little bit of backstory, I guess apparently this is obviously this is from Banggood, but this is I guess an unauthorized copy of something called the FR7, I believe. Actually, I didn't do a whole lot of research into this because I don't have a lot of time to dig into all the drama and the details and all that kind of stuff, but this is just information I found in various places, and also talking to the guy that sent me the frame. He wanted to see how this was in comparison to the Chimera 7 specifically. I think he actually built this himself as well. And also, he wanted me to make this video because he got sick and tired of all of the FPV bullies out there telling him what he should spend his money on. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I don't like to tell people what they should or shouldn't spend their money on. So, if you guys want to support the FR7 project, buy the frame at authorized sources. If you don't care about that, then spend your money where you want to. I honestly really don't care. It's up to you. It's your money. Spend it where you want. So that's why he sent me the frame, and I went ahead and put it together and made a video for him. This is surprisingly better than expected, actually. So there's a long story in this whole frame here. I actually had this built with parts from this is the Tyro 129. I had this sitting around for a while, and I was like, well, I'll do like a conversion. Right? I didn't really feel like building this with brand new parts. I was like, okay, I'll just take the Tyro 129 and pull the parts out of it and stick it into this frame and fly it. And I figured, oh, I might as well try 6S. And turned out that was a bad idea. I heard stories that 6S on that setup was not good, because I only flew it on 4S in all the previous videos I did. And it turned out that those stories were correct, because I ended up burning an ESC. And yeah, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that, but one of these FETs died on the very first hover. So I got like about 6 inches off the ground, and then I think it was the front left motor number 3 smoked on me, or the ESC smoked on me, and then I had to tear everything apart. I decided to build it totally fresh, and so I took all those parts out of there, and I put the T-Motor F90 motors on here, 1300 kV, very good motors. I've did a review on this already. I'll link that in the video description. I finally put this stack in here that I had sitting around for the longest time. It's an F7 stack from Dal RC plus, so it's basically an F7 flight controller plus so it's only a 40 amp 4-in-1 ESC, but it does 6S no problem. It's called the Dal RC 40 amp engine. So believe it or not, those parts are still sold on Banggood, so you can pick those up at a pretty reasonable price. And then I just went with the DJI setup here with the Vista and the Nebula Pro. Yes, these still do exist. You can't buy them anymore. Obviously, they're not in stock. If you guys listen to my warning, I think this is the beginning of the year, when I said these were going to be discontinued, but out of stock very soon. I think at the time I said, oh, they'll probably be out of stock for a couple of months, and it's now like 8 months later, and these are impossible to find. So yeah, I picked up 10 of these back then, so yay to me, but sorry you guys I've been looking for these. They're nowhere to be seen. But there's a new camera coming out soon from Caddx. I can't share any details yet, but you might be excited about that. But that's coming later. But yeah, got a Nebula Pro in this one. I am flying with the 3-bladed Dal Fold 7 V2 props, and I've been flying those also on the Chimera 7 you see back there. No problem if you're just cruising around, which is what these 7-inch frames are good for. If you're doing aggressive flying, wild acro, freestyle, yeah, these props are not good for that. I would recommend a standard 7-inch 3-bladed props if you're going to be trying to do that kind of stuff. But for cruising around, these are totally fine. I haven't had any problems with the props on just this, basically cinematic flying on a 7-inch. A couple of things in this frame here. I got the Beta FPV 900 megahertz system here with the full antenna, and this antenna is thinner, but it flexes and it goes back, similar to the Immortal T, but I'm not sure how durable it is going to be in a severe crash, but you can see it gives a lot and just returns back to shape. And then the receiver is buried in here. I ran it with the 900 megahertz nano transmitter, no problems. And I'm running the this is from VFly, that GPS power adapter thing to give the GPS power, so you don't have to sit there and wait for the GPS to lock onto satellites with the Vista running and all that. So I did a video on that one as well. I'll try and link all these videos down in the video description. Now, one thing in the Banggood product page, there's going to be people that are complaining that the arms in this are only 5 millimeters thick. Mine are 6 millimeters thick, so I'm not sure if maybe the early batches came as 5 millimeter arms and they changed it to 6 millimeters. Not 100% sure on that, but mine did come with 6 millimeters, and this is a fairly recent order. So if you buy it, after this video, you're probably going to get 6 millimeter arms. Another question people are going to have are all these TPU parts included, and they are. So they all came in the box, every single one of these, including the little arm bumpers for the GPS in the back there, and also for the VTX antenna. And then mine here came with the Hero 6 and 7 full-size GoPro mount here. I believe that you can probably get different camera mounts here. You can print yourself on Thingiverse. I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably made alternative mounts, because this thing just kind of screws and attaches separately to these parts here. So you got this part here on the right, the left and the right, and then you have this camera mount here, and then this other piece in the front for the receiver antenna. And so those are all separate parts. So you can swap this out for a different camera mount if you want. Now, the really surprising thing, and I'll show you in the flight footage, I didn't do any real steady go or any stabilization at all. Just basically pretty much a stock PID tune. I did raise the P and D gains a little bit because it is a 7-inch. I didn't really do any tuning in this because I just don't have time for doing extensive tuning sessions. I just kind of made a guess, and it flies reasonably well on just like a shot in the dark tune that I did, which kind of gives you a sense that this frame design is probably pretty good. There's a little bit of wobbles and stuff from the wind, but this actually flew better than another 7-inch you'll see in a few days, and I won't get into that here because I can't talk about it yet, but you'll see that pretty soon. So yeah, the GoPro footage is not stabilized anyway, so it's pretty good for unstabilized footage. I didn't run some real steady go on this because it is hard mounted. Now, if you're running a 7 with a hard mounted like this, you're probably going to run into problems. The 6 is probably going to be okay. The 5 and the 7 are not going to be good. And then if you use a different mount here for like an 8 or a 9, you're probably okay with real steady go if that's the way you want to go. I was a little concerned about the camera angle. It's fairly steep here. I don't know, maybe like 25-ish degrees, 30 degrees, and it's not a problem because the 7-inch motors, if you have the proper motors on here and if it's properly, the power setup is properly set up, you should be okay because this thing has a very fast cruising speed. So yeah, you probably want some amount of camera angle, especially if you're going to be going longer distances, for long range. So I can understand why they have this camera angle. And yeah, obviously you can see here. Now, if you're using a FPV camera, you're going to want something with a 4:3 aspect ratio and a wide vertical field of view, because even with the Nebula Pro here, with the angle, you're not seeing too much of the ground. And if you're using a 16:9 camera, less of the ground is going to show up because you have less vertical field of view. So that's something to be aware of if you're going to be flying this frame and choosing what kind of choice of camera you want to use for this. So the frame weight, the bare frame weight, was 224 grams. Pretty good for the amount of carbon you have on here. And the carbon itself, it's not going to be easy to see on camera. It's fairly decent quality for the price. I mean, the whole frame was like $49, and that's just like regular price. Obviously, with the coupon codes and all that, could be even less. So I know a lot of people have bought this already and have asked me to review it. I just don't have time to review every single frame out there because honestly, after you fly so many of these, they all start to sort of feel the same. They don't really feel all that special. And when I compare how this flies to the Chimera 7, which by the way weighs about 100 grams more. So the Chimera 7, as you see over there, with the GoPro mount, it does come with a full-size air unit, not a Vista. That weighs 660 grams, and this one here weighs like 560 grams. So it's about 100 grams less. What you're seeing here is the setup here, but what is a Vista? But similar motors, 2806.5, 1300 kV. Yeah, so it's a pretty similar setup, other than the DJI system being different, but it's significantly lighter, and it has that very long battery deck here, so you can carry these longer lipos like this 3300 6S. And you already know from the test I did on this battery, this goes for 20 minutes on the Chimera 7, and since this one is fairly a significant amount lighter than the Chimera 7, you're going to get more flight time on this one with that same battery. My estimation, you probably could squeeze another 2, maybe 2.5 minutes is my estimation, based on the less weight. But again, it really depends on the flying conditions, like how much wind you have, that kind of stuff, and where you're going, how much throttle you're giving throughout the whole flight. So really depends. I would say if you're going to be getting a battery like this, 20 minutes, you're probably good. 10 minutes to your destination and back. So however far that is. But in terms of the flying characteristics and the feel, honestly, not a whole lot different between this and the Chimera 7. They're both dead cat style frames, with the front motors a little further back to get them out of the basically your HD and FPV view. Very similar flying characteristics, and given that the motors are of similar power, similar size, 2806.5, similar kV. Yeah, I really couldn't tell you if you gave me one quad or another, and you didn't tell me which one it was, I couldn't tell you which one it was. Even with my sort of shot in the dark PID tune, which is mildly based on the one that the Chimera 7 had on there, I just kind of look at their P and D gains and just put them in here, and okay, that's probably pretty close. We'll see how it was, and that seemed good enough. And there was a little bit of shaking here in the FPV feed from the camera mount, a little bit of jello. So I think it's because it sits up higher and there's more wind hitting it. That didn't really bother me too much, but it might bother some people. But that surprisingly didn't show up in the GoPro footage. So I think it's just because this is higher up and it's getting hit by the wind, and it's a little bit more exposed, and you're going to see a little bit more shaking there. But that shaking didn't really show up in the GoPro footage. But yeah, if you're looking for a nice frame for a 7-inch build, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money. This is about $49 right now at Banggood. I think it's a pretty good value. I don't know how it's going to hold in crashes or whatever, but the carbon seemed pretty decent. It didn't seem weak or cheap in any sense of the word. And now, if you're here for the giveaway, I do have this is called the Frank 8. So this one actually Banggood did send to me a while back, and I just didn't have time to review it. This is a brand new frame kit. I think it has a Hero 8 GoPro mount. I'm not 100% sure, but you can see the parts are all brand new and unbuilt. So this is going to be given away in this video, and I'll put the link to the giveaway form here. I've decided not to put them in the video description anymore because people don't watch the videos. I'm seeing that they watch about the first 30 seconds and then they're off to the giveaway form, and they don't watch the rest of it. So I'll have basically the giveaway form link will be here, and then I'll put the validation code, so you have to watch that later on in the video, probably in the flight footage. So yeah, actually I'll put that in the flight footage portion. It's going to be in the video linked in the description. Yeah, that ought to get people to not find that, because a lot of these guys, they go to the giveaway form, fill out whatever random stuff, and then submit it, and I'm like, well, they're not going to win. Now, anyway, so that's the giveaway for this. And then if you're a Patreon, if you want this frame, this is the Tyro 129 frame, let me know. Send me a message on Patreon. Whoever wants it, I'll go ahead and send it to you. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this video. This video is super long. Talk to you guys later.